Hi, guys. Welcome back to Same Teams, Different Jerseys. We have our host, Damian, co-host, Hannah, me, your editor-in-chief, Sonia, and then we have our guest, Stephanie. Today, we are tackling a topic that is going to feel uncomfortable for a lot of people, myself included. A while back, Damian and I heard a heated debate where one person said that if any older man found a 17-year-old young woman attractive, hot, or sexually arousing, that the man had a mental problem and needed professional help. A therapist pushed back and said that was actually a normal male reaction and that there's nothing mentally wrong with a man of any age seeing a 17-year-old woman as attractive. The conversation stuck with Damian. It led to some long talks at home, and eventually the four of us sat down and decided we wanted to explore it on the show. Not because we're trying to change anyone's mind or give advice, but because the tension between what science and history actually say and what most of us feel in 2026 is really interesting and really uncomfortable. So Hannah has daughters from 11 to 17, and Stephanie has a early preteen. So I'm a woman that feels protective instincts, and when we talk about teenagers or young girls. So we all agreed that the episode had to start with straight facts, but before we get into how those facts land with us emotionally, here are the ground rules we set for ourselves and for you listening. This episode is descriptive only. We are talking about patterns in research, psychology, and history. Attraction is not action. Okay. Nothing we say today is advice, endorsement, or permission. We fully support current constant consent laws, and we are 100% against any kind of exploitation of minors. If you're a parent listening and this topic makes your stomach tighten, that feeling's valid and important. We are not here to argue against it. We're here to understand where the tension comes from. We're going to do this in clear sections. First, we'll explain what the DSM-5, the official handbook psychiatrists and therapists use to diagnose mental disorders, actually says about the attraction to different ages. Then we'll look at what large-scale studies show about typical male attraction patterns. After that, we'll talk about how society's view of this has changed in just the last 100 to 150 years. And then finally, we'll open the floor so Hannah and Steph can share how these facts hit them as moms. And we'll talk about why modern brain science and ethics still matter more than raw biology. We know this is a very touchy subject. Some of you might feel angry, protective, or even creeped out just hearing us discuss it. That's okay. We feel some of those same things, but we believe having an honest, fact-based conversation is part of what this show is for. So, with all of that said, let's start with the facts.
Okay. Thank you, Sonia. A quick note for anyone who might not be familiar. The DSM-5 is a short for the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. 5th edition, it's the official handbook published by the American Psychiatric Association that psychiatrists, psychologists, and therapists use to diagnose mental health conditions. Think of it like the main rule book or the Bible for them. It lists exactly what symptoms or patterns count as an actual mental disorder and what does not. So when we say, according to the DSM-5, we're looking at the current professional standard for what is or isn't classified as a mental illness. The only age-related pedophilic disorder in the DSM-5 that involves minors is called pedophilic disorder, code 302.2. Here are the exact diagnostic criteria. Recurrent, intense sexual arousal, fantasies, urges, or behaviors involving prepubescent children, generally age 13 or younger. The person must be at least 16 years old and at least 5 years older than the child. The attraction must last at least 6 months, and the person has either acted on the urges or experienced marked distress or interpersonal difficulty because of them. The DSM-5 is very clear on this age cutoff. It specifically says prepubescent children, generally age 13 or younger. It even has an explicit carve-out, ongoing sexual interest by an older adolescent who is 17 or 18 in a 12 or 13-year-old does not automatically qualify as the disorder. Two other terms sometimes come up in these conversations that are not in the DSM-5 as the disorders. I might pronounce these incorrectly, so I'm sorry. Ephebophilia, attraction to early pubescent children, roughly ages 11 to 14. This was proposed for the DSM-5, but was rejected and is not listed as a disorder. Ephebophilia, attraction to mid to late adolescents, typically ages 15 to 19. This was never even proposed as a disorder and is not mentioned anywhere in the DSM-5. What this means is that sexual attraction to a 16 to 19-year-old post-pubescent young woman is not classified as any mental disorder in the current DSM-5. Again, just to be crystal clear, we are only describing what the official diagnostic manual says. This is not advice, not endorsement, and not permission for any type of behavior. We still fully support current consent laws and the protection of minors. That covers the psychiatric side of things. Now we're going to look at the large-scale psychological research actually shows about typical male attraction and patterns.
I have a question real quick.
Go ahead.
What are we using as the definition of attraction?
Ooh.
Are we saying attraction is like, oh, that person's very attractive, like you admire it? Like you can say somebody is attractive without wanting to be with them sexually? Or are we saying attraction as in a sexual manner?
I would say
a sexual manner.
attraction. Yeah, I would have to agree with Sonia on this one. Because some of the things they explain on what happens to a pedophile.
Yeah, so even if you just go back to that first bullet point, right, it does say the sexual attraction has to be over the course of several months.
Well, I just
So
want to make sure we're all on like the same page, and then listeners are on the same page. I don't want somebody being like, oh, well, it's just an attraction, like and admiration, because obviously we're not viewing it in that frame, correct?
right.
Right. And I mean, some studies, the BUS 1989 across 37 cultures, Kenrick, and I think it's Cafe 1992, and later large scale data show heterosexual men of any age tend to rate women in their late teens to mid 20s. What is that?
That's the birds having a party outside Steph's window.
Oh my God,
sorry.
shut that door. Shut that window.
Okay, hold on. I'll be back, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Any age tend to rate women, damn birds, women in their late teens to mid 20s as highly physically attractive. So that actually goes along with your sexual attraction thing. Peak cues are tied to fertility signals that are fully developed by 15 to 17. And that's a huge distinction between it. When most, and in the news, you see a lot of people right now, and you guys can jump in right after this. In the news, you see a lot of teachers and people that are getting caught with their female students. And on the internet and on TikTok and stuff, you get the visceral reaction from parents to just say this man's a pedophile. But according to these studies, the tender age of 5, your not intelligence, but your body is physically attractive. Your breasts are developed, your hips are widened, you have that female what men find attractive look. So, any comments?
So I don't really feel so much that it's men getting caught with female students. It's definitely females getting caught with male students. I feel like way more common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing that in the news a lot more lately.
Okay,
Which is
it's still female teachers with male students. I don't think it's male teachers with female students.
yeah. And again, this is biology. This is not an endorsement that it's okay to.
So right. So obviously you take into account that a teacher period is some sort of authority figure, right?
Yes.
And at that age, I feel like most teens are easily manipulated. Whether it be for something dumb, right? Like homeboy wants a vape or something. Or in that situation, something like, oh, well, I need, I need to pass this class or whatever. And the teacher's like, okay. So I definitely think that there's that happening. But again, according to the DSM-5, those teachers are not pedophiles, right? Which,
Correct.
yes, for us is wild because I think we live in such a I don't want to say hypocritical, but we almost live in a hypocritical society now when it comes to women specifically.
Well, you have a problem because we are told, obviously, 16, 17, 18, off limits. That's gross. You're not supposed to like that. But the majority of women on the front of bathing suit magazines. Now, I'm not talking porns. I'm talking straight like female Sports Illustrated. Most of those women will tell you that at age 20, 21, 22, you're starting to age out. Like,
Right.
there's very few the supermodels. You only hear about one or two of them. The majority of models are late teens because that is where you look your best. And if we're talking about just physical attraction, and that's what I think. And I don't understand, and maybe you women can explain this to me, why there's so many female teachers getting caught right now. So for a man, coming from a man's point of view, when we see a woman, we're not necessarily looking, oh, can she hold a political conversation with me? Can she do this with, we are looking like, I want to put my thing there. Is she hot? And
I think it's just the differences in biology because men are more visually stimulated.
yes.
So if you don't catch a guy with his eyes first, you're probably not going to catch him.
Right.
So
Yeah, we don't walk up to a girl going, oh my God, she looks like she has a beautiful brain.
yeah,
She has a beautiful something, but a brain isn't what we're thinking. So women are normally way more attracted to the confident experience, which comes with age. What does a 16-year-old boy offer these 25, 28-year-old school teachers?
there's your thing right there. They're 25, 28, right? Look at the ages of the teachers that are getting caught. Okay.
Okay.
25, 28. They themselves are not at their peak of maturity, right? Like if they're 25, they are still technically developing, right? Because we don't finish developing until around like 26.
Yeah.
So they're still kind of developing. They're still kind of coming into themselves, right? So I think not only that, but as teachers at that young of an age, who do they spend 90% of their time with?
The kids.
Kids. So where are they going to go pick up a man that's their age?
But most of these women are married at home.
They're unsatisfied at home. Unfortunately, that's what it comes down to with women. I think we had this episode when we talked about cheating, right? Is
Oh, yeah.
even if this 16, 17 student is willing to just listen, or maybe he's really attentive in class, or when she gets her hair cut, he's like, oh, hey, Miss Carlson, you cut your hair, it looks really good, congratulations, whatever. Boom, that little bit of interest right there, you've got her. If she's not getting it at home, you've got her, just because of that one comment. It could have been completely innocent. It could have just been a student that notices things, right? But if it happens to be a male student, you've caught her. You weren't even trying to, and you've got her.
Okay, so for the two moms, say your 16-year-old daughter came home, and I can throw this at you too, Sonia. Your 16-year-old daughter came home, and she obviously has the glow that she likes somebody, and you find out it's a 30-year-old man.
Nope.
Nope.
That's not going to happen.
I'm going locked and loaded. I'm not going to lie.
My child would have a chastity belt.
That too. I've already told mine. I've told mine she's wearing light up Skechers and turtlenecks until she's my age.
And you do realize that's very hypocritical, because I've known all of you when you were, except for you, Hannah. But, I mean, that's not how you girls acted when you were younger. When you were teenagers, that's not how you acted. And now you're going to push on. Like I said, I'm not endorsing this. I'm just throwing out devil's. You girls acted different when you were teenagers.
No.
And-
So there's a difference, though, right? Like, I never, like, as a teenager, like, age was definitely a number to me. So I took it into account. Like, I was a freshman dating a senior, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I thought I was being, like, rebellious as all. Yeah. But I thought I was being, like, rebellious as all get up. But in my brain at the time, I was like, that's it. 4 years.
Did any of you have a crush on an older brother's friend or your dad's friend? Okay. No, it can still work. Did you have a crush on an older woman?
No, not really.
You never saw a teacher that you were like,
There was one
that was
teacher,
way older.
Oh yeah, she was much older. She was in her late 30s, early 40s. And I would have been 16, 17. But it wasn't in a sexual manner at all. Like, I wasn't
Okay,
trying
so-
to, like, jump her bones. She just
Well, no, but the thought, I'm just saying,
teacher. She was
okay, no, that's not what I'm talking about. None of you saw an older woman or man and had, I would, but
You haven't stopped
didn't-
talking, so.
Yeah, you haven't given us a chance to like verbalize.
Well,
Because I was gonna say, as a I was a freshman in high school, and my English teacher was a very attractive gentleman. I don't remember how old I was. I was probably like maybe 14 or 15 as a freshman in high school. And this was a school, like, this was the first school before I moved and switched schools. But the teacher, he was my English teacher, as a class, we learned a lot about him. He was also part-time a stand-up comedian. So, like, but he was a very attractive, and I found him very attractive as a 14, almost 15-year-old, freshman in high school.
So he was hot and funny. That's
Yes.
a terrible comedy.
And I like
That's
humorous people.
My dad had a friend. I was probably younger than that. I was probably like, I don't know, 11 or 12. And my dad had a buddy that would come over, and he sang guitar or played guitar. He could sing, like, and I remember being like, yep, that's what I want.
Is it because I know most of the fathers, I've talked to tons of fathers with daughters, and their thought in their head is, there's no way my daughter has these thoughts.
That's
It's
bullshit.
but I
all
think
the
it's
man.
because-
Like,
It's all the
yeah.
man.
no.
I definitely think.
I think-
there's younger teenage girls, right? Like if we're talking, we'll say high school ages, right? There's definitely younger girls like that I definitely think find older men attractive. I just don't think it's as common as with boys.
Yeah.
You know, I going to school, I definitely heard guys talk more about all the teachers that they would fuck more than I heard all the girls talking about. There was one teacher, it was my freshman year, it was a health teacher and PE teacher, and he was the only teacher, male teacher I've ever heard girls talk about, and he was young, he was like 28.
Yep.
Well, I mean, obviously society has changed. If you go by history, it's just been in the past 100 years that the whole anything under 18 is like gross. That's the past 100 years. Before that, if you were 17 years old and you weren't married with three kids, like you were an old hag. And these 17-year-old girls were not married to 17-year-old boys, because 17-year-old boys had nothing. They were marrying 25, 30,
Right.
35-year-old men that had like
But-
farms and stuff.
Think about this too, right? Longevity of the human life. We've got people living to be 102. If I live past my 95th birthday, somebody shoot me, please. I don't want to know what this world's like at 100. But we used to only live 40, maybe 45 years, right? So you get married to a guy at, we'll say 15. He's going to be dead in 5 to 10 years anyway.
Unfortunately, a lot of women, I don't want to say this without it being a fact, but a lot of women didn't live through childbirth either. So you'd have to marry a 15, 14, you'd have to get them that young, because if they pop out one, maybe two kids, they might pass away. And then you have to, we tend to forget what the past used to be like in order for us to have this society here that we have now, that it's easy for us to say, okay, if you look at this young woman, you're disgusting. But from the beginning of history to pretty much now, 100 years we think 100 years is a long time, but it's not. Up until now, it's always been, yes, the younger women are hot or they're sexually attractive and that's their best breeding age. And now you're telling a whole bunch of men that this has been biology all through history to, okay, now we're going to change it because now it's icky. Now it's gross. Is that obviously it's for the good. Do you think women were more mature way back then than they are now?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hannah, you're actually the what's your degree in? Behavioral health. You should be just whipping out things here.
Surprisingly, we did a lot with the DSM-5, but we didn't get. We dealt more with like schizophrenia and shit like that. We did a lot on OCD actually. What I do find interesting with DSM-5 though is, and you'll find it common in multiple mental health diagnoses, right? That you cannot diagnose somebody until 16. Okay, and the
Oh, I didn't read that. That's true?
Yes. DSM-5, a person cannot be, in the DSM-5, even for pedophilia, a person cannot be diagnosed as a pedophile before the age of 16.
So if a 15-year-old starts diddling an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old, they can't diagnose him as a pedophile.
Diagnosed as a pedophile. So it states it on, I just read it a minute ago. I think you actually covered it. Hence, criterion C requires for diagnosis a minimum age of 16 years. So they have to be 16 in order to be diagnosed, and at least 5 years older than the child or children in criteria A. Right. So they break it down for criteria. So criteria A would be the child that they are doing the acts on or that they are sexually attracted to. Right. Criteria C would be the person that is performing the acts. Right. So, yeah, you can have a 15-year-old fooling around with a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, as long as there is a 5-year age gap unless they're 16, they technically cannot be diagnosed. It's like that with a lot of mental disorders. Bipolar, you cannot diagnose until you're 16, right?
Bipolar, they won't even diagnose until you're 21.
Yeah, so they call it something else for bipolar, but like they won't even screen you for bipolar unless you're 16. So there's a few of them that are like that. So I find it weird, and then it goes into a bunch of other stuff like pedophilia per se appears to be a lifelong condition, right? Pedophilic disorder, however, necessarily includes other elements that may change over time with or without treatment, which is subjective distress, right? So they have to experience guilt, shame, intense sexual frustration, or feelings of isolation, or psychosocial impairment. So what do you do with the people that meet the criteria in a sense, don't feel certain things, right? They don't feel guilty, they don't feel shame, they don't feel sexual frustration if they don't get it. What are we doing with these people? Because a lot of people who have a mental disorder, right? If the mental disorder is not treated, they experience issues, right? Even with day-to-day living. But how many people who would fall under the pedophilic disorder criteria live normal day-to-day lives?
Well, I know it's not necessarily, I mean, this subject could go on for a lot more than an hour because that's another thing. What do you do with the pedophiles that don't have that, oh my God, urge, but they do categorize themselves as pedophiles? What do you do? I mean, obviously the answer for everybody is a wood chipper or lead poisoning.
I honestly think that the true fix for this is prevention. There needs to be prevention. There is no prevention, right? How's the average man? We'll say a young man, 25, 26, or 25 to 28, who has these urges, identifies them, hasn't acted on them. How is he going to feel when he goes to try to get help? Because what's the most common response, even from licensed professionals?
Wood chipper.
Judgment.
Yeah, and God forbid he say he finds a psychologist that'll actually see him. And God forbid that gets out in his neighborhood. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of issues I have with it, right? Obviously, we know it's all bad, right? If you're an adult, you should not be messing with somebody who's underage, right? Just wait till they turn 18, then they're free game, right? I have a lot of issues with this because there's not an actual way to determine that somebody is a pedophile, okay?
until they offend.
Until they offend, right? So a perfect example of this is we take child pornography. Child pornography, right, which we've discussed, is any depiction, whether it's drawn, AI, whatever it
Yep.
is, okay, any depiction of a minor that's engaging in sexual activity or is naked, okay? So let's say you're trying to do a brain scan of someone who potentially could be a pedophile. If you're doing a brain scan, what are you using for stimuli?
You usually have to show them pictures.
Show them pictures, which means that your mental health organization or professional now is in
Just broke the law.
Possession.
the law because they're in possession of child pornography. So in the United States, how are we diagnosing? Because in the DSM-5, it talks about viewing time and seeing if they get reactions. How are we doing viewing time if
You can't view.
even in a professional setting, you can't have child pornography, right? So a lot of this is based off of just questioning. So I'm going to sit, Damian is my patient, and I'm going to ask, are you sexually attracted to children between the ages of A and B? No? Okay. In your lifetime, have you ever engaged in sexual activity with the children between the ages of A and B? No.
No.
Have you ever experienced arousal when witnessing children between the ages of A and B. No? Okay. Well, you're not a pedophile. Have a good day.
Right.
And you could have just let loose the world's worst pedophile. So I have
Right.
a lot of issues with it, but I think at the end of the day, we just shouldn't allow it. I get times have changed, but if any of my children, right, because I have 2 girls and a boy, if any of my children came home with somebody who was much older than them, I would have a problem.
Do you, for all three of you, do you think 18 should be the legal age of consent throughout America?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would ask Sonia to join in on this, but she knows the answer to this one. You might too, Hannah, but I don't think you do. How many states do you think it's actually 18? Because I get into a lot of debates on this with, there's a thing in the news right now. Everybody knows who Steven Tyler is, right?
No.
He's the lead singer to Aerosmith.
Okay.
Steven Tyler. Well, he's in trouble right now because they want to bring up a 30-year-old case, and there are details about it I don't know, but that he had sex with I think it was a 17-year-old girl, something like this, back in the 80s, which if anybody grew up in the 80s, they knew most teenage girls went to concerts to fuck the band. That's what they did. Every one of the 80s bands did it. It was very popular. And they were like, well, she was under 18, so it doesn't matter. I was like, well, it depends on what state. And the comment was, well, 18 is legal age of consent. And I don't know if you guys know, how many states do you think 18 is legal age of consent?
I was hoping it was like most, like at least over 50% of the states. But I'm
11. I feel like that's changed recently. I feel like that's
This is 2026.
yeah. What I'm saying is though, like I feel like that a lot of those states have changed.
What, in the past month? This is as of today, 2026.
No. What I'm saying is, years ago, they had a lower age.
Oh,
Changed.
I actually looked this up. The average age before 1880, the average age in America, 10 to 12, legal age of consent.
Like I feel like you could have looked at this list, I'll say 10, 15 years ago, and most of those states would probably be green right now.
Yeah. California, there's California, Idaho, they've been 18 since like they were like one of the very first ones that turned 18. These states right here,
I swear Arizona used to be 16.
yeah, I think 16 was, but what most people don't realize is, and I know what everybody's going to say, there's Romeo and Juliet laws. There's only like 3 states. Most of these states, if your daughter has sex with a 35-year-old man, a 40-year-old man, and you go to the cops, there ain't a damn thing they can do. The cops will
Wow.
tell you, yes, the cops will look at the young lady and say, did you want to have sex? If she says yes, that cop will look at the parents and be like, there's nothing we can do. So the Romeo and Juliet laws are very rare. And most of
So like Texas has a Romeo and Juliet law, okay? But you have to have viable proof that the relationship started when you were both teenagers. If the relationship did not start when you were both teenagers, the Romeo and Juliet law does not apply.
right. So just so for all the parents out there, if you guys are in any of these green states listening to this podcast and you have a daughter and she's
Which
16,
most of them are green. So for our Spotify listeners, most of them are green.
yes, there's a lot more green than
Pretty much
there's a
entirely all of Middle America, basically the entire East Coast, Nevada, Alaska.
yeah.
Yeah, they're all green, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states that are 17, and then we have 11. What did you say? 6 blue.
1, 2, 3.
8 that are blue.
Yeah, sorry. 8 that are blue. And you said what, 11 for the red?
11.
Okay. So that's only 20 states, y'all.
Yeah. And
Wow.
once again, these are just the facts. We are not endorsing that, hey, if you live in Michigan, Louisiana or whatever. The
Majority of the South is 16.
Yeah, the majority of the South. It was 14. A lot of these were 14, like 40 years ago.
So I'll be honest, the one that shocks me, I think, is Florida. Florida's is 18. And
That shocks me too. I'm not gonna lie, because it's Florida.
I feel like that's
Yeah. So you would like to say, so as parents and as females, you think all these should be read?
Oh yeah.
like I'm not gonna say I'm not condoning teenagers engaging in sexual activity, right? We all did it. It's gonna continue to happen. It's gonna happen forever. But if you are a teenager and you're fooling around with an 18-year-old or above, you shouldn't be doing anything sexual until you are at least 18. That's just how it should be.
Yeah.
Well, it goes along with your theory that you don't have autonomy over your body.
No, as a teenager, as a child, you do not. No. Because
I'm opening.
at the end of the day, who's responsible? If you're a minor, who's responsible?
Your parents are
Your
supposed to be.
So why does the child get to pick anything? Look, if we had it my way, all minors would be wearing chastity belts, and then they'd get handed to pee on 18 for them.
So I mean, so is it because it has a little key point here? Do you think it's because of brain development? Teenagers have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. I was a
don't think
teenager
so.
once.
I
I
think-
had no idea what I was doing.
I don't think it's so much as they don't know what they're doing, as they just don't have the impulse control to not make stupid ass decisions. And so if we circle back around, right? Teenagers, especially for girls, 14 to 16, we're angry, we're angsty, we want the world to burn. And the easiest way to do that is to hook up with some 30, 40-year-old man who's going to treat you nice to your face, that probably has a wife and kids at home. Like, there's no impulse control there. So I don't think it's... I don't think that... I don't know. It's a hard one for me. I don't necessarily believe that every state should be 18 for the age of consent, but I definitely think that, like, there should only be within like 2 years, right? Like a 16-year-old can date an 18-year-old, but
So you don't mind the 16, but you want the Romeo and Juliet laws to be very strict.
yeah, because it's an eight. Let's talk truths for a moment. 18, we're still stupid. We still have no fucking clue what we're doing, where we're going with our lives, who to trust, who to not trust. So when you take into account, okay, the fact that the DSM-5 specifically states 16 or older can be labeled as a pedophile. Okay, that means that you're, I don't want to say sexually mature enough, but you're sexually mature enough to be seen as an adult by the DSM-5. So anything underneath that, okay.
Well, I mean, okay, so what's your initial reaction? Like, what would you tell your daughter? So we've already established that, like, if your 16-year-old daughter comes home and she says she, you know, was with a 35-year-old man, okay, legally, unless you're in one of those, 7 states, you can't do anything about it. What do you tell your daughter?
Get in the basement. You're not coming out.
On the skin.
Yeah. Or else it gets to her skin.
It's hard, right? Because Sonia's right. Like, as young teenager females, right, we are fucking world sucks. We hate everything. We hate our parents. We hate our life. We hate our fucking selves, right? It's rough. You know, you're developing in a way that you probably don't want to, right? You know. But at the end of the day, I think the huge conversation is, what does this 30, 35-year-old man really see in you? You are 15, 16, whatever the age is, right? So you don't have any money. You don't have your own car.
Men don't care about
You
that.
don't have your own. That's what I'm getting at. Men don't
Right.
give a shit about that.
We care about one thing.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the cold, honest truth. Is what do you really? How close your legs? Don't give him anything, and see how long he sticks around.
It won't be long.
Yeah.
You
Be-
might get a week. You might.
Right. Is it possible for an older man to actually fall in love with a younger woman? Yes. But the odds are
Stacked against them.
so astronomical. So as a parent, you would be telling her the correct thing, that he seems like he loves you,
No.
but he loves the fact that you are young, tight, beautiful, like everything is perky. Because let's be honest, when women age, gravity
Does damage.
does damage. Yeah, it's just the way it is. And yeah, he, it is what it is. And I don't want to be rude, but since we're going to be talking facts, when a man looks at that, and it's proven fact, what happens to all these girls when they turn 18 on OnlyFans?
Okay, bye. I'm gonna find something younger.
No,
No, OnlyFans, they have a
millionaires.
countdown. They have a
Yeah.
countdown going
Oh.
until they're 18, and the
Yeah.
minute they turn 18, they start it, and they start they start casting and streaming and stuff, and all of a sudden they're making big money because shit
Yeah.
ton of rich men, that's all they want to see is just something small and little and
Yeah.
cute and
Yeah,
something that still looks good.
Make it a challenge, right? Like, you got a 16, 17-year-old daughter that's 15, or whatever, that's saying that she claims that this older man is in it for the long haul. Yeah, tell that older man if you can go 1 year without sex. 1 year without sex.
And I'll back this up for all the every man should be able to.
I bet you he won't.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying he will.
Why is he going after young?
Yeah.
He's going after young because they're naive. Oh, I
Yeah.
love you, honey. I bought you flowers. I'll take you to the movie. I'll buy you a nice dinner. Oh, you want those sneakers? I'll buy them for you, right? They have money. They know what teenagers want. They were teenagers at one point too, right? So
Yeah.
they're just hoping that you're dumb and that you're willing to spread easy, right? You know? But I guarantee you'll if you set the limitation of, I won't have sex with him unless I've been with him consistently for 1 year, I guarantee you he's gonna walk away. He'll go find the next dumb blonde.
So here's the other thing about that too, is like, so DSM-5 says 16, right, is completely normal. And it's 15 to 16, or is it 16 to 17? 16.
15
It's completely
to
normal.
15 to 18.
Okay, completely normal.
It's called tenor stage 5.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, so the actual DSM-5 says that it's generally ages 13 years or younger.
Okay. So that's the reality check right there, right? We can sit here and say, what if you're 16? No. There's not a lot of the states. There's nothing you can do. Suck it up. Hope you can talk her out of it. Hope that your daughter's comfortable enough to listen to you. Whatever. Let's change that for a minute. Your 13-year-old daughter comes home from school and says, my math teacher gave me some cookies today. And then she talks about him a little bit more next week. A little bit more next week. A little bit more next week. Until he's all she talks about. At what point do you step in and go, no. She's 13.
Well, I'd be asking the minute that she got cookies, like, were you guys celebrating somebody's birthday in the class? Or was this just the you treat?
Or did everybody get cookies?
Yeah.
I've made it really apparent with my kids that children cannot be friends with adults. You can't. It's impossible. So when my children come home and they're like, oh, my math teacher's my friend. No, he's not. No, the fuck he's not. He's an adult. Adults cannot be friends with children.
Yeah.
That's not a thing, right? Like, I'm not going to go to Steph's kid, and if Steph's kid starts saying that I'm her friend, we're not friends. We're not friends. I'm friends with your mom.
Yeah.
Here's the extra package that comes with it. We're not friends. When you turn 18, we can be friends.
Yeah.
Then, you're a child and I'm an adult. We're not friends. And unfortunately, that's how it is.
And that's how it should be.
That's exactly how it should be. Yeah, so I've made it clear with my children that adults are not friends.
Yeah. I've tried to make it clear to my child that, stranger danger, we don't if I don't know this person, you shouldn't be walking up to them and talking to them or taking anything from them. And I've had multiple incidents where she has taken things from people that she should not have. Like a neighbor in another housing block gave her an ice cream cone. She didn't come and ask me if she could have it. She didn't, and this older man who gave it to her didn't come and ask if he could give my child something. I didn't know this person. I've maybe met them once. That doesn't make me their friend. That's an acquaintance. I hardly know you. And I had to make it very clear to her, like, you can't do that because, one, what if you're allergic to something in this? And that's like the ideal, worst case scenario, but there are worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to create that line with your children, right? Because you don't want to scare the fuck out of them, right? You don't want your children walking out into the world one day when they turn 18 and they're like, everybody's bad,
Yeah.
I'm gonna live in my house and never leave, so you don't want to scare them, but I mean, the realities of it, I mean, your next door neighbor, that could be the one.
Yeah.
That could be the one, and you would have no idea.
Nope.
And your visceral reaction as a parent might not coincide with the laws of your state.
Yep.
So you better teach them early, because once your daughters and your sons, but let's be honest, this affects daughters a lot more. Once your daughters turn 16, they're in a completely new ball game. And unless you have that personal relationship with your daughter to be able to sit down and talk to her, because I don't know how many of you were able to look at your mom and dad honestly and be like, hey, I find this older man really attractive.
Nope.
No, that was a private diary entry. I didn't go to my parents about that.
Dear diary.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. But as moms,
Good Lord.
would you want your 16-year-old daughter to be able to, what would your visceral reaction be if you're 16? Would you be able to be like, okay, let's talk about this, honey? Or would
Grounded.
you have, and that doesn't,
Grounded forever.
It's hard for me because I mean, I it's hard for me just because of how I grew up. I don't want to do the same thing to my daughter that was done to me. My mom, her birth control for me was if you get pregnant before you get out of high school, like find somewhere else to live because I raised you. I'm not raising your child. And then, that's what got me through high school without getting pregnant.
And a little bit of luck.
And a little bit of luck. But I don't know, like, it's hard because I don't know how I would react based on, like, if my daughter came home and said, she wants to see this man or she has a crush on this man. There's a big part of me that's like, give me your phone, go to your room, read a book. I'll be in shortly while I go through her phone and see if there's anything in there.
But as teenage girls yourself, that's the wrong, that's the wrong reaction. All it does is push them further away.
And I don't want to do that. I want her to feel comfortable to come to me with these problems. I don't know if I would consider it a problem. I want her to be able to come to me and talk to me about this stuff. But I want to be able to act to the point where she can come to me and I'm not going to be this scary monster like going berserko on her.
Yeah.
The hard part with it is, though, right, we didn't like that our parents said no to everything, right? It makes us want more, okay? But the hard part with that is that you can't say yes either.
Right.
Yeah.
If my 15-year-old to come home and be like, hey, I really want to do cocaine this weekend, all my friends are doing it, what should I do? No. The answer is no.
No.
No, you're not doing that. You're grounded, right?
I mean, Sonia puts them in the basement.
But that might
No, that's me.
that might push them to sneak out and go do it anyways, right? But you can't tell them yes. So if your younger child comes home and it was like, oh, this 28-year-old at the tire shop today, he's just yummy, whatever. Okay, you can't be like, oh yeah, you should totally do that. But you can't say no either because it pushes them.
You could almost just be like, yeah. Like if okay, like let's say that the 28-year-old at the tire shop, right? You almost want to make it like gross for them and be like, oh yeah, I'd go there, and just gross them right the fuck out. So you just have the complete opposite, right? Complete
because if
opposite
mom will have
reaction.
sex,
Right.
that's definitely
That's a nope. That's a nope. Right.
I could make it really gross. I could be like, ooh, 28? Oh, that's in my age range. I wonder how much money he makes. I bet you he's got it sticky right now.
mom wants a
like-
sugar daddy.
But like you could almost just be like yeah, I don't really feel like that's appropriate coming out your mouth right now.
Yeah.
It's not saying no, but it's letting them know that you're not okay with it and it's a no.
But as teenage girls at 16 years old, that's appropriate coming out. They have those urges. Most parents sit there and think they're
voicing
16.
Is it normal? Yes. Is it appropriate?
No.
You don't think it's appropriate to be able to look at your mom and go, hey.
Hell no.
I don't think it's okay. Perfect example. Okay, the reason I use the tire shop is because one of my children, when we took Amber's car to go get new tires a couple years ago, just so happened to notice all the very young little men working at the tire shop.
Are we talking about Spitfire?
Yes, Spitfire. Okay, and she was all about it. Oh my God, did you see them? They're all sweaty. Their arms are all big, and they're so cute. And I'm like, you are literally a child. A child. And she's like, well, I'm allowed to admire. And I'm like, okay, all right, you can admire, but let's reel it
Tone it.
Yeah.
Let's reel it in.
Okay, you can say they're cute or they're hot or they're attractive or they're good-looking guys. So let's like refrain from all the juicy details. Okay, save that.
Yeah. 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 Yes, they're attractive. That's one thing. But to sit there and like, oh, their arms, and I was just, that got a little bit much. Yeah. Oh my God, Hannah, Jesus, we're trying to have a serious conversation here. I mean, obviously, we kept it in the 15 to 18 range. And we're coming to the end of our podcast here, which actually went pretty fast. Do we want to dive in? What should we do about the other epidemic that's going on in America at a different podcast? You touched on it for a second, the pedophile epidemic.
I don't think it's an epidemic.
Technically is.
Yes, it is. It's an epidemic.
Talk about it? Oh, you're talking millions.
I think we could easily go on another hour tangent on how to, because that, unfortunately, that's a bigger problem because you can't do any research on it. They can't, if they have a problem, there's no one they can go to. Like, the only,
DSM-5 only classifies that 3 to 5% of men are pedophiles. 3 to 5%. If that were accurate, we wouldn't have the issues that we currently have.
no,
Look
what's,
at Tim Tebow's research on it. He literally has maps showing internet
I think it,
that are pinging for child.
I think it's a bigger problem than America will let on. And I think it's because we keep our head buried in the sand and we don't want to, because everybody's answer is lead poisoning or wood chipper or like that's their answer. And that answer obviously is not fixing the problem.
Prevention.
And I'm,
Telling you right now, prevention. On the record, 5/18/2026,
Okay.
Hannah said prevention.
prevention. Okay. That could be a different podcast.
Steph, you
is
had a
there-
question?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because I know Hannah's talking about prevention, wouldn't like chemical castration be a preventative for people who are actually diagnosed?
We tried that, and that just makes them commit suicide. If you ever watched, what's the movie with the gay man that broke the
Imitation
enigma?
game.
The Imitation Game. Yeah.
But he killed himself.
He was also gay though, so it's different.
Yeah.
Ooh, I could get into
I
that
don't
subject. Sexual
like that's the
orientation.
same.
Prevention. What I mean is they need safe
Give them an outlet.
places to, not even necessarily an outlet, right? But you need therapists that are simply dedicated to this, right? To where a 20-year-old man could walk into this facility and he's going to be surrounded by safety. He's going to feel okay explaining. 20 years old, and I'm weirdly getting into that 13-year-old girl that I see at the playground, and I don't want to act on it because I know it's inappropriate, right? They all know that it's inappropriate. They all know that it's not right. It's illegal.
Yeah.
It's mentally not normal. So they need a safe space to go and talk about it and get help because there is no fix. There is no fix. There is no medication that fixes. There is no injection that you can get that's magically just going to make it go away. Once you have it forever. There is no fixing it.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
only prevention. Now we can't go to the basis of dedicated communities for them because if we were to take an apartment complex and make it only for pedophiles, because there's no children, there's no underage people within a mile or something like that. Okay, they have their own dedicated parts where there's no children around type thing. What's going to happen when the rest of the community finds out that this one apartment complex is specifically for pedophiles? Whether
Yeah.
they have,
All of a sudden, you're going to have a serial killer on your hands.
whether they have acted on it or not, right? So I think we need to find a way to raise the ones who are coming forward about it and they're not acting on it and they're trying to seek help and they're using what little resources that they have in preventing it because those are the ones that are going to make a difference.
Just so you know, and this is a whole other subject because it goes into sexual orientation. The DSM-5 does not say it's an orientation, but the earlier DSM-5 did. But this is a whole other podcast we can go into on how to fix this problem. But I can leave it at this. There are only 2 doctors in the world that tackle this subject. that have, those are the only two doctors in the world that have decided to make this a professional, like, we're going to figure this problem out. And they've sacrificed so much because they're hated. Those two doctors also wanted the DSM-5 to say sexual orientation. Just so you know, they pushed for
Whose
that.
door?
It's
Okay.
Damian's.
Yep, mine. So
Mine's cracked open.
is
He's
there-
popped in and out.
Okay.
is there anything else before we...
I think the root, honestly, is just like educating your children, like letting them know stranger danger, but at the same time, like let them know that stranger danger could be coming from within too. Like it could definitely be a family member. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
If, creepy uncle guy fucking creeps you out, voice that to your parents.
And I think
There's a reason.
Yep.
right, like,
Yep.
if your child at a young age comes to you and says like, "Oh, I don't like Uncle Jim. He's kind of weird and he makes me feel okay, cool. That's fine. We'll deal with it."
Yep. Yep.
I don't think, "Oh, he would never. There's no way. Oh my
Yeah.
God."
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that train of thought needs to die.
Yeah, definitely don't
I
downplay
know
when
that-
your kids come to you and say like, "Hey, so and so makes me feel some sort of way and I don't like spending time with them." Don't downplay it. Like ask the questions. Ask the questions you don't want answers to because you're going to get the answers and then you're going to know where to go from there.
Yep.
Their feelings are valid. Although I do not believe in child bodily autonomy, okay, their feelings are valid. They still need to be protected. And if they feel a type of way about someone, they should have the respect that they deserve of
Yeah.
parents doing their jobs and protecting them.
And also don't be afraid to like teach them what their parts are. Don't nickname them. Don't let your kids nickname their body parts because then you're really going to be confused.
Okay. So at the end of the day, the facts we laid out are just that, descriptive facts about psychology, biology, the history. They don't change the world we live in right now. Modern consent laws, our understanding of the brain development, well into the mid-20s. And the importance of emotional maturity and power balance are why we protect teenagers. And just because the states say, hey, 16 is okay, doesn't necessarily mean it is. And the visceral reaction between moms and females. So,
Yep.
and none of what we discussed today is advice or endorsement.
Yeah.
What was the
Don't
comment
fuck
you
with the
made?
kids.
Attraction does not equal action.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. If anybody wants us to dive into the whole younger part that the DSM-5 actually talks about, we will, but we need
Like,
comments.
subscribe, comment,
Yep.
share, tell your friends, tell your family.
Tell your cat I said,
Tell your spider I said,
Tell your dog I said hi.
are you
And
sleeping on me,
Don't
baby?
forget to live, laugh, and lobotomy. Thanks for interrupting me.
All right. Bye.
"Bye, guys."
Bye.